In this lesson, we're going to take a look at family structure and the impact that it has on development. And when we talk about family, one thing that we need to keep in mind is that family is the relationship that a patient has with the people that they spend the most time around, or that maybe they've assigned to a particular role within their family unit or within their home. And the first family form we're going to look at is the nuclear family. So this is your married couple plus your children. And the children have to do two things. They have to be dependent and they have to be biological. And this is your standard family unit. And then you have the extended family, which is basically, so you've got the nuclear family and then you have the extended family. So this is family members related, and they're outside the nuclear family. So these are aunts and uncles and grandparents. That's your extended family. Another type of family form that you're going to see is a single parent family. So you have the married couple and now you only have one parent, and then you have dependent biologic children. And this usually occurs because of death, divorce, or desertion. And you need to keep that in mind when you're caring for your patients that are in a single parent family unit, because what ends up happening is the roles tend to change and sometimes the responsibilities can be a little bit different. So they can sometimes be a little under stress, or they can have different things going on. So just be aware of that. The last one we want to talk about is a blended family. So what you end up getting is you get a single parent family here and you add another single parent family here, and you make another family. The difference here is, so this is when you got like a married couple and they're bringing in their dependent children from previous marriages or relationships. So this is like your parents with stepchildren and step parents. So, and then they have step siblings. So that's what a blended family is. And then we start to look at family forms outside of the nuclear family unit, and then the small variances. And we'll start by checking out foster families and adopted families. When we talk about foster families, what we're talking about is the relationship between the parent and the child. The thing about foster families, so you have a parent who's caring for a non-biologic child, and the difference is foster families, the parents in the family unit are not the legal guardians of those children, and foster families really just pertain to custody. Where it comes in for you as the nurse is that you have to be aware of what the legal rights of the foster family are in making decisions. So most of the time, the foster family have been given like powers of attorney to make medical decisions, but it's not always the case. So if you know of that relationship, it's really important to get all of the parties involved. So the state or the agency may be responsible and they have legal guardianship. And so just be aware of that when you're helping the family make medical decisions about that patient. And then in the adopted family is a little bit different, because now you've got parents in this relationship, and they've gone through the legal chain to become the legal guardians of those kids. And so now you have you've got a nuclear family plus dependent and non-biologic children. That's the only difference. And then you have the next family unit you're going to have is LGBT, so lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. And the only difference with this family is they are still they may remain nuclear, and usually only one of the parents is biologic. So it's a blended family and a nuclear family, and sometimes parents choose to adopt. So you'll get like this variance, this melting pot of the family forms. You may also run into this other family form called a skip generation. So you've got grandparents taking care of grandchildren. So what's happened is that the parents of these kids are no longer in the picture, and these adults are taking care of these children. So they're the responsible adults. The last one you may run into is something called cohabiting partners. And this is where you have a mother and a father or a couple, and the children are the biological dependents of one or both of the children. And the only difference is the parents aren't married. So that's what that one is. Now, I know there are a lot of variances of all the different family units, but your responsibility as a nurse is you have to understand the impact that the family structure plays into the development. And it's important to understand that every family unit has a specific role for each person in it. And for the most part, every person has a role and they follow pretty much societal norms, but sometimes they can be changed. They can be changed based on the needs of the family. For instance, if you have like an adolescent male patient and like they're in a single parent family home and mom is the one taking care of them, then the teen could actually go to fill the role of the adult male in the house. And so he'll feel like he has more responsibility, and that he's got to, conform to those societal norms, and that he may feel like he has to share a financial burden. So that may put another level of stress for, a teenager in the hospital. So another example that you might see is like a single father with small children. And not only does he have to be the financial support for those children, he has to play the role of mom. He's got to play the role of the mother for those kids. And then where it starts to get tricky with the non-nuclear families is that they can begin to face ridicule from society. Sometimes the changes within the family form can also cause conflicts. So things like divorce, desertion, or death. So you've got a nuclear family and now you've become a single parent family, and now you have a lot more stress. And so those are things to consider when you're taking care of your patients. And just like all of the other lessons with development, a common question is, where do you fit in as the nurse into this picture? Well, like we talked about, you need to be aware of the family structure. You need to think about what the roles are for each one of these patients, and make sure that sometimes these roles can be challenged, that you need to provide support for them. Additionally, you need to educate your family and your patients. So set goals for your patients. You can use your resources to provide support for the family that'll help to reduce stress or anxiety and lessen the burdens for the patient and their family. And always pay attention to the family dynamics and the role that the patient plays within their family unit. In this lesson, we really focused on building those interpersonal relationships and human development within each family unit. And we also use the concept of cognition through development when we're talking about the family structure. So let's recap. When we're talking about the nuclear family, we're talking about parents and their dependent children, but also think about the ways that these units change. Also take into consideration family variances, and that non-nuclear family structures are also family units. As you care for your patients, think about the roles that each member plays within their family unit, and also think about the challenge that each patient and family member face when their roles change. Also think about that roles can be challenged throughout the developmental process. And as a nurse, remember to educate your patient when your patients are sick, because we want to try to maintain that family structure as best as possible. That's our lesson on family structure. Make sure you check out all the resources attached to this lesson. Now go out and be your best selves today. And as always, happy nursing.